Well, hello everyone. I hope you all are safe and healthy. In this video presentation, I am happy to present you a study about the act of sacrificing women into prostitution back in wartime Japan. Wartime Japan is known for one notorious crime, the rape committed by Japanese soldiers. During wartime, the Japanese government institutionalized prostitution for their soldiers. These facilities were called comfort station, and the sex workers were called comfort women. The rape of comfort women was a huge controversy. Worse still, Japanese soldiers to rape the other local women in the area Japan invaded. They left women with so much fear. But when Japan lost the war, they had to face the American occupation, and now it's their time to face the fear of rape. It became a concern that American troops would rape Japanese women. Thus, the Japanese government wanted to protect them. But in order to protect them, they formed a prostitution facility. On top of that, the government decided to sacrifice Japanese women to become the sex workers. The question is, how can they sacrifice their women to become sex workers? Therefore, this presentation will try to disclose the underlying reason that allowed the Japanese government to sacrifice their women to work as comfort women. The theory of hegemony and hegemonic masculinity are used as the framework. It is a qualitative research, thus the data are obtained through the process of reading, which are then analyzed further. The prostitution facility the Japanese government established for the American troops was called Recreation and Amusement Association. RAA adopted the wartime comfort stations model. But wartime comfort stations are problematic. Comfort women were raped, abused, and oppressed, making this practice a manifestation of gender inequality. Strangely, the Japanese government decided to place their women in RAA to become sex workers. For them, the act of sacrificing women was inevitable and even acceptable. What allowed them to have the audacity to do and to think so? It started with the construction of masculinity. Japanese society constructs men with traits such as aggressive, dominant, competitive, and confident. Opposite to that, society gives women the traits such as gentle, affectionate, sensitive, and quiet. Beliefs around these characteristics then constructed men's and women's sexual behavior. These traits of masculinity created the idea of men having high sexual desire, and for the opposite, women have low sexual desire. This set of masculine ideas then dominate the society. A set of masculine traits that dominate and desired within a society is referred to as hegemonic masculinity. But this hegemonic masculinity leads to a problem. Men considered their high sexual desire as a biological urge outside their control. So, the society worried that if men channel their high sexual desire carelessly, the safety of a family might get threatened. In other words, society was afraid with the possibility of rape. However, society's concern was countered by the idea, if men cannot properly channel their high sexual desire, it could harm their health. And in a patriarchal society like Japan, this cannot happen since men are the pioneers for economic growth. This is when prostitution came to the picture to accommodate both parties. By establishing prostitution, men are served and daughters are protected. But why prostitution is actually not the solution? It's because prostitution is abusive in its nature. When sex workers sell their bodies, they also sell their autonomy. Due to the loss of autonomy, sex workers lose power over their bodies, thus they become the victims of objectification. The whole process of selling their bodies made sex workers get dehumanized. The Japanese government, who were fluent in the language of prostitution, undoubtedly understood that putting women into prostitution means oppressing and dehumanizing them. But they did not stop. What is the underlying reason that allowed the Japanese government to be able to sacrifice women to become comfort women? The answer is hegemonic masculinity. The dominating culture within a society has its way to control the people so that they would consent willing to accept the status quo and unfair condition. And so women have no choice but to live with the dominating idea of male's masculinity. It also forced women to become anything opposite to male's masculinity. Hegemonic masculinity justified the dominating male's masculinity as something natural, and it helped to rationalize the idea of prostitution and the act of sacrificing women in it as a beneficial solution for everyone in society. Truly, hegemonic masculinity has the power to rationalize whatever men's need, even as far as rationalizing the needs of institutionalizing prostitution and sacrificing women to work there, entirely ignoring the fact that it is a manifestation of gender inequality. Ultimately, hegemonic masculinity creates a situation that perpetuates male domination to continuously demand women to be always willing to sacrifice and get oppressed. Now the presentation is coming to an end. Just a reminder, women are not objects. Wash your hand, wear a mask, and stay safe. Thank you for watching this presentation, and I hope to see you when it's safe to go outside.